ॐ ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति। We'll chant the verses.
अनेकबाहूदरवक्त्रनेत्रम् पश्यामि त्वां सद्वतोऽनन्तरूपम् नान्तं न मध्यं न पुनस्तवादिम् पश्यामि विश्वेश्वर विश्वरूप किरीटिनं गदिनं चक्रिणं च तेजोराशिं सद्वतो दीप्तिमन्तम् पश्यामि त्वां दुर्निरीक्ष्यं समन्तात् दीप्तानलात्कद्युतिमप्रमेयम् त्वमक्षरं परमं वेदितव्यम् त्वमस्य विश्वस्य परं निधानम् त्वमव्ययः शाश्वत धर्मगुप्ता सनातनस्त्वं पुरुषो मतोऽपि अनादिमध्यान्तमनन्तवीर्यम् अनन्तबाहुं शशिसूर्यनेत्रम् पश्यामि त्वां दीप्तहुताशवक्त्रम् स्वतेजसा विश्वमिदं तपन्तम् ध्यावा पृथिव्योरिदमन्तरं हि व्याप्तं त्वयैकेन दिशश्च सर्वाः दृष्ट्वाद्भुतं रूपमुग्रं तवेदम् लोकत्रयं प्रव्यथितं महात्मन् अमीहि त्वां सुरसङ्घा विशन्ति केचित् भीता प्राञ्जलयो गृह्णन्ति स्वस्तीत्युक्त्वा महर्षि सिद्धसङ्गाः स्तुवन्ति त्वां स्तुतिभिः पुष्कलाभिः रुद्रादित्या वसवो ये च साध्याः विश्वेश्विनौ मरुतश्चोष्मपाश्च गन्धर्वयक्षासुरसिद्धसङ्गाः वीक्षन्ते त्वां विस्मिताश्चैव सर्वे रूपं महत्ते बहुवक्त्रनेत्रम् महाबाहो बहुबाहुरुपादम् बहूदरं बहुदंष्ट्राकरालम् दृष्ट्वा लोका प्रव्यथितास्तथाहम् नभस्पृशं दीप्तमनेकवर्णम् व्याक्ताननं दीप्तविशालनेत्रम् दृष्ट्वा हि त्वां प्रव्यथितान्तरात्मा धृतिं न विन्दामि शमं च विष्णो दंष्ट्राकरालानि च ते मुखानि दृष्ट्वैव कालानलसन्निभानि दिशो न जाने लभे च सद्म प्रसीद देवेश जगन्निवास
the last verse that we studied, 20. He said it is Adbhutam and Ugram. Adbhutam is wonderful. Ugram means frightening. So he said the form, the Vishwarupa that I am seeing is Adbhutam and Ugram. There are two faces to God. Depending on your lifestyle, you will encounter one face. You have a dharmic lifestyle, you will encounter the Adbhutam face of the God. If you have a adharmic lifestyle, you will see if you have an adharmic lifestyle, you will see the Ugram face. So, and God has both the faces. The face of God as the creator and sustainer and the God who's answering your prayers and all is a wonderful God. The same God turning destructive looks Bhayangara, Ugra. It's the same God. Again, that's why we always say Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. So if there is the creative aspect of God, which is very pleasant, and then the maintainer, which looks like, which is what we all the worship that we do, all the shlokas, the chantings, the stutis, etc., is directed towards the maintainer aspect of the divine. Then the third aspect of the divine, which is Ugram, which is destructive. Now, the destructive force, the destructive phase of the divine, we don't want to see it at all. If that phase come, we get frightened. Why? Because the frightened phase is going to end something. When Lord takes the Bhayangaram, Ugram phase, that Ugram phase indicates something is going to end. That something that is going to end is called death. So the Ugram phase of God always ends in death. You lose something. And no human being wants to lose. You always want to keep your existing thing and go on adding. Having the existing and going on adding is all right, but losing is not acceptable. It doesn't matter what you lose, you cannot lose anything, isn't it? Once in 5 years, you will bring everything down from the loft, clean up the house, see what has to be thrown. Everything will look very important. Everything will be packed and put back on the loft, isn't it? This is important, this is important, this is important. What is not important? Why? There's always the fear of you can't lose. Bhayangaram it is. Any loss is Ugram. It is Bhayangaram. It causes the fear. Therefore, Arjuna is saying all the three worlds are trembling in fear. It is not the three worlds are trembling in fear. We saw that last week itself. Not everybody is trembling. Only Arjuna is trembling. Anything that happens to you, you project onto anything that happens to you, you will project it onto the world. Instead of saying, I am shivering and I am trembling, he says, all the three worlds are trembling in fear. 。  . 。  . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . . . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . . 。 。 . 。 。 。 . 。 。 . 。 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 .
。
all the aspects of Vishwarupa is so beautiful, except the fiery mouth that is swallowing everything. Hmm. So he is describing the Vishwarupa as in everything is beautiful. But what caused the fear? What caused the fear? The mouth that is swallowing everything. The mouth that is swallowing everything is not acceptable at all. So he says, I am frightened. So verse 20, we saw is the transition verse from wonderment to fear. Later on in 25, 26, the third emotion. When we go there, we'll study that. So here, the transition is from wonderment to fear. Adbhutam to Ugram. 21 padinga.
अमीहि त्वां सुरसङ्घा विशन्ति केचित् भीता प्राञ्जलयो गृह्णन्ति स्वस्तीत्युक्त्वा महर्षि सिद्धसङ्गाः स्तुवन्ति त्वां स्तुतिभिः पुष्कलाभिः अमीहि त्वां सुरसङ्घा विशन्ति केचित् भीता प्राञ्जलयो गृह्णन्ति स्वस्तीत्युक्त्वा महर्षि सिद्धसङ्गाः स्तुवन्ति त्वां स्तुतिभिः पुष्कलाभिः.
Verily, into you enter these hosts of gods. Some in fright extol you with joined palms. May it be well. Thus saying, bands of great sages and siddhas, perfected ones, praise you with beautiful hymns. Verily, into you enter these hosts of gods. Some in fright extol you with joined palms. May it be well. Thus saying, bands of great sages and siddhas praise you with beautiful hymns. Now, what is he seeing? All the devas, the hosts of God. Surasangaha is the host of gods. Then Maharshihi Siddha Sangaha. So there is one group of people that is entering fearing gods, Surasangaha, and then there is another group. Who is the other group? Siddha Sangaha, and this Siddha Sangaha says, Iti swasti, iti swasti, iti swasti. They also entering you. Some frightened is entering you, some saying swasti is entering you. Now both have no choice but to enter him. So one thing that is very clear, what? Both has to enter him. There is no choice there. But then there is these two beautiful groups. Surasangaha is one group and Maharshi Siddha Sangaha is another group. Sangha means group, association. Sangha means the group of people. So one set of people going with fear, another set of people going with iti swasti. Iti swasti. Iti swasti. Swasti is loka samasta sukhino bhavantu is swasti. Swasti means loka samasta sukhino bhavantu is swasti. So that is one group of people with pushkalabihi stutibihi. Pushkalabihi stutibihi means with complete, their hymns are beautiful and complete. We'll see one by one. Pushkalabihi and stutibihi. Their stuti is full, complete, comprehensive. Stuti means praising the glories. And when they praise the glories, they praise it fully, comprehensively, completely. Meaning nothing is left behind. Each and everything is taken up and praised. So that is Pushkalabihi Stutibihi. Now who's doing this Pushkalabihi and Stutibihi? Siddha Sangaha. Maharshihi Siddha Sangaha. So there are these two groups. One is Maharshi and another is Siddhas. Both are enlightened ones, and there is a very subtle difference also between the two. Both are enlightened. Maharshis are also enlightened, and Siddhas are also enlightened. And what is the difference between the Maharshi and Siddha? Maharshi means Vasishta, Bharadwaja. Those kind of sages belongs to the Maharshi category. Kapila, Krishna belongs to the Siddhas category. Now, what is the difference between Maharshi and the Siddha? Siddha demonstrates some siddhis. Siddhas are those who demonstrate some, uh, some powers they display, some mystical thing they display. So, Siddhas are the enlightened ones who display some mystical powers, some siddhis. Maharshis are those non-stop பேசினே இருப்பாங்க அவ்வளவுதான். They can't do anything more than that, isn't it? Non-stop they keep talking. That's all. So there are these two beautiful groups, Maharshis and Siddhas. Kapila, that is where the description of Krishna is also Yogeshwara. He is the Lord of Yoga. So because Krishna also demonstrated some siddhi powers. So there are these two. So Maharshi and Siddhas, both of them worship you. And how do they worship you? They worship you so comprehensively, they worship you so fully. That is one group of people. So one group of people worship God. Another set of people also approach the Lord. The Devas are also approaching the Lord. But the difference between the Devas and the Maharshis is, in the first one, there is the fear. In the second one, there is the right bhakti. The bhakti because of understanding. That is implied. You don't have to say that. Bhakti comes only because of understanding. If there is no understanding backing it, you can't have bhakti. Again, bhakti means there is an understanding that is backing it. Then only you can have devotion. Understanding we'll do later, sir. First, let me have bhakti first. It doesn't work that way. Therefore, the one group, Maharshis and Siddhas, are devoted. They have bhakti. Pushkalabihi, Stutibihi, they are able to do because of bhakti. The first category, Surasangaha, Devas. They are not Rakshasas. They are not Asuras. Understand the difference. They are not Rakshasas. They are not Asuras. They are gods. Gods means relatively good people in this context. Relatively good people. But how do they worship? Out of fear they worship. But sir, we should not have fear, no, sir. How can we say good people and having fear? Bhayam, fear is a very important aspect of life. Where understanding, where maturity hasn't yet come, you can't wait for maturity to happen. You have to fear and lead a dharmic life. Again, I repeat. Understanding takes for understanding to dawn, take some time. You can't wait for understanding to dawn. So in the period of trying to develop an understanding, you need to lead a dharmic life. And what is leading a dharmic life means? A fear is there. Fear to do the wrong thing. That's why we always plant fear as a important aspect of spiritual growth. Once maturity comes, fearlessness happens. But you can't start with fearlessness. Okay, let us take it like that. Human a indulgent human being is a fearless human being. A adharmic human being, indulgent human being is a fearless human being. Right or wrong? Yes or no? Huh? A indulgent human being, hmm? a indulgent human being is a fearless person. Yes, no, right, wrong, who agrees, who doesn't agree, voting விடலாம் இப்போ. Yeah, we'll have an election now. Voting. How many agree that an indulgent person is a fearless person? Yeah, he is fearless because he is not bothering about because he is not he is no understanding of the consequences, no understanding of what is going to happen to him, what is going to happen to everybody around. Absolutely no fear at all about anything. That person is called Rakshasa. That person is called Asura Rakshasa. Now, we don't want that kind of a fearless entities living on this planet. Those kind of Rakshasas and Asuras, Vishwarupa will swallow first. Yeah, it has to be followed first. They are fearless. Absolutely fearless they are. They don't fear being adharmic. They don't fear being selfish, self-centered. They don't fear. Do you fear being selfish, self-centered? The consequences of it is fear comes, you will live in insecurity. Are you able to understand the difference? The consequences of it we are talking about, but that person is an absolutely fearless person. Now, do we recommend that kind of fearlessness? Is that kind of fearlessness accepted? No, that is called moha, that is called delusion, that is called ignorance. From that, a maturity comes. From that, a maturity should come. From that state of fearlessness, maturity will come. What is a maturity? Fear. Fear will come. Should come. Fear should come. In the 18th chapter of Sattvic Buddhi, any number of times I keep repeating it. Sattvic Buddhi has the clarity of what to fear, what not to fear. Bhayam cha bhayameva cha. Sattvic Buddhi is not defined as fearless. Is it? Is it defined as fearless? Bhayam cha abhayam. What to fear, what not to fear. Therefore, from fearlessness, you move on to fear, and then again you become fearless. But then between this fear, the first level of fearlessness and the second, words are the same, but the beings are different. Are you able to follow? So in spiritual growth, first thing that has to come is what? From the beginning, you should not say, I will be fearless. I know what I'm doing. I don't care. These are all egoistic statements. And every human being makes, I know what I'm doing. 15-year-old child says, I know what I am doing. What does it know? 8-year-old man with one foot on the grave also says, I know what I am doing. Narayana. God only has to save the entire humanity, and God saves the humanity by Vishwarupa most of the times. Yeah, God saves. Yeah, why? And God saves by the destructive phase of Vishwarupa only he can save. Because we are not willing to live a life of dharma, fear. Therefore, from that state of licentiousness, which is misunderstood as fearlessness. Are you able to understand the difference? From that licentiousness is misunderstood as fearlessness. The fellow says, I will do what I want. I will live life the way that I want. That person exhibits a fearless thing, and people think, no, sir, fear and all is very bad. We should be fearless. Fearlessness comes out of a maturity of dharmic life. Take it or leave it. Fearlessness is a luxury. Fearlessness is, you should be able to afford that fearlessness. No, nobody is qualified to afford that. None of you can afford that fearlessness. Why? Because affordability, the price is very high. What is the price? The price of living a dharmic life. And what is living a dharmic life means? Saying no to the temptations. What is dharmic life? Saying no to the temptations. Temptations after temptations after temptation, isn't it? Material temptation, physical temptation, emotional temptation, intellectual temptation, spiritual temptation, என்னெல்லாம் temptation, isn't it? Oh my God, you fear that. You fear. But then the human ego says, fear and all is wrong, no, sir. Fear is wrong. No? How can you fear? We should not have fear. We should be bold. We should be courageous. We should be strong, no? We should be strong. We should be bold. We should be courageous. Fear and all should not be there. And fear is that which retards fear is a retarding force. Fear brings a human being down. Therefore, be bold. Be courageous. God, everybody is clapping, isn't it? Everybody is clapping. And out of this clapping and following, the Rakshasa crowd is only increasing. Surasangaha is not happening at all. It means something is fundamentally wrong in that understanding. It means there is something fundamentally wrong in that understanding. So what is it that is wrong? First thing, fear. Fear is a very important aspect of life. Okay, put it in a very simple way. Wherever fear of what? Fear of the consequences, fear of the punishment. See, wherever there is law and order, there is fear, no? Punishment, fear of punishment. They say you go to Singapore, everybody behaves well, isn't it? Why? Why? Fear of punishment. So the first important thing that the human being needs in life is fear. Why? Because human mind is prone to a licentious life. A licentious way of living, they don't fear. So first thing you have to fear, what? First thing you have to fear. What is it that you have to fear? A licentious life. Now, you can't expect understanding to happen straight away. Therefore, what does the Vedas do? What does the Dharma Shastra do? What does Vedanta do? It plants fear by saying this licentious life, which is people misunderstanding as fearless life, is called Yateshta Achara. Yata Ishta. Yata Ishta means you do that which pleases you, and you call it as a code of conduct. Are you able to follow the definition? It is called Yata Ishta Achara. Yata Ishta Achara. You call it as a code of conduct. You call it as a code of life. What is your code of life? What is your code of conduct? You do that which pleases you. Distinct and different is what? The right achara. What is the right achara? We are going to see it. So first thing is what? what people call as fearlessness is fools rush in where angels fear to tread, isn't it? Fools rush in where angels are afraid of entering. Fools rush in. Are they? That's why the fool is. That fearlessness that they are experiencing is foolish by nature. Therefore, what? A disciplined life. A disciplined to understand, to have the maturity and understanding the value of a disciplined life, it takes time. In between, how to save that human being? In between, you give knowledge, and knowledge to turn into maturity, it takes time. In between, what do you do to that human being? How do you save that human being? How do you protect the human being? What kind of lifestyle if the person follows, the knowledge will transform into a maturity. The information will transform into maturity, wisdom. Vedanta comes in with beautiful concepts. The beautiful idea of papam, narakam, punarjanma. All these are a beautiful, extraordinary way of making sure that where angels are fearing to tread, you don't rush in. Stopping there is wrong. Taking this as an ultimate is wrong. But starting point is not wrong. Understand the difference. Taking this to be ultimate is wrong. But you have to start like this. And then what happens? Along with bhayam, along with fear, you add another factor. What is another factor? The study, the shravana, the manana, the spiritual practices, etc. All these practices, along with fearing the adharmic life, will bring maturity. Who are the Deva? Now, are you able to follow till now? Palatur, question இருக்கா என்ன? அவர் என்ன சொல்லுங்க.
Everyone, sir. For leading a dharmic life, you said fear is must.
Yes.
And when we talk about the other 6 modifications of Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Matsarya, Bhaya, what is that fear and this? I wanted to have some clarification.
Correct.
Because both are fear only. What is this and what is that?
Yeah. What is the difference between the 6 modifications fear bhayam and the bhayam that we are talking about now? Ganesh. குளத்தூர் நேரம் இருந்தா தலையில ஒரு குட்டு வச்சிருக்கலாம் இல்லையா? ஸ்கிரீன் இருக்காரான்றதுனால கரெக்ட். யூ டூ யுவர் செல். சும்மா டச் பண்ணக்கூடாது, ஃபெதர் டச் மாதிரி குட்டணும். சவுண்ட் இஸ் நாட் ஹியர்ட் ஹியர், isn't it? அந்த அயன் சவுண்டு கேட்கணும், டாங்கன்னு சவுண்டு கேட்கணும், அப்பதான் குட்டி இருக்குன்னு அர்த்தம், isn't it? What is the difference between that bhayam and this bhayam? Word is the same. The word bhayam is the word that is the same. The feeling is different. What is the different? There in that 6 modifications, the word bhayam is a constant sense of insecurity. Anga bhayamku there is a constant sense of insecurity. What is that constant sense of insecurity? Somebody is watching me all the time. Somebody is going to grab something away from me. I need to protect it. isn't it? A constant sense of insecurity is the bhayam there.
Oh.
Here, the bhayam is a state where you have not fully understood, but you trust the source.
Of course.
There's a difference. Are you able to follow the difference now? In the case of bhayam that I am talking about now, as the important factor of dharmic life, you have not fully understood. See, once you have fully understood, you become a Maharshi Siddha Sangaha. You belong to a different group altogether. Because the person has not fully understood, at the same time, you have to help them also. Because understanding takes time. Now, what is the fear here?
Trust.
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 It is, அவங்க சொல்லியிருக்கிறாங்க, I will not do it. It is said in the Shastras, I will not do it. It is said by the teacher, I will not do it. It is said in the Shastras, I will not do it. Have you understood it fully? No, you have not yet fully understood. For if you have fully understood, then you are wise by yourself. You have outgrown that. Are you able to follow? Why do you, what is that? They have said it. Even though I don't understand it fully, but I trust my welfare is the intention. Because it is said for my welfare, I will. Because it is said for my welfare, I will do it. You follow? Why do we use the word bhayam here? Why can't we use the word shraddha? Why do we use the word bhayam here? There is an element of fear. Sattvic buddhi definition. Bhayam cha, bhayameva cha. The Sattvic Buddhi definition, I always used to think, why in Sattvic Buddhi you should have said Shraddha, no? Sattvic Buddhi has lot of Shraddha, he should have said. But he said, Sattvic Buddhi, fear and what to fear and what not to fear. It means I need to fear. What I need to fear? Narakam I have to fear. A Naraka means hell, which you can never ever prove now. Narakam can never, the hell can never be proved. Meaning, you live this kind of life, this will be the consequence, can never ever be proved, isn't it? That's why we always come and say, sir, why this bad atheistic people are flourishing while theistic people are suffering? Are you able to follow? To that person, what is important as the very important thing? When you are prone to a licentious life, Shraddha will not come directly. From a licentious life to a Shraddha-based life will not happen immediately. There is an intermediate step. What is that intermediate step? A life of fearing Naraka, a life of fearing hell. That is why they paint Naraka like that, isn't it? What is the picture of Naraka? You'll be constantly poked, you will be constantly roasted, you will be constantly made into a sandwich, I don't know, bhaji, I don't know what all, what all stories they make. We laugh at these stories, thinking that we are so wise, we have transcended the need of these stories. I fear, I don't know about you all, but I fear. I don't want to become a bhaji. I don't want to get roasted. I don't want to do that. I fear. But sir, you are supposed to be wise, no? How can you fear? Because you have no concept of wisdom, you think wisdom means fearlessness. Because you have no idea of what wisdom is. If you have some idea of what wisdom is, you will never say fearlessness. You will say, I fear some, I don't fear some, isn't it? I don't fear service and sacrifice. I fear taking. Wisdom. Ignorance is? What is ignorance? Ulta. Ada. I fear service and sacrifice. I don't fear taking. Are you able to understand the differences? Therefore, here it is a very, very important thing. What is the important thing? That yateshta achara, fear will take care of that yateshta achara. For example, take another example. See, for the medicine to work will take 6 months. But you have to take the medicine for 6 months. Third day, fourth day, nothing is happening. Will understanding help you to take the fifth day? No, fear. The fear. And the fear will be graphically shown to you. The fear has to be, the consequences has to be verbally shown. The consequences has to be graphically shown. The consequences has to be shown in audio visual form. Audio video. When it is shown like that, oh my God. I don't want. Are you able to follow? Devas are the one who has this fear. He's saying two groups of people. Devas go enter into him with fear. Maharshi and Siddha Sangaha, Maharshis and Siddhas enter into him saying Swasti. Asuras and Rakshasas fearing is understandable. Asuras and Rakshasas must be actually fearing. Devas must do partial prayer. Maharshi and Siddha, we should do full prayer, isn't it? But he is saying, very, very beautifully, he is saying it. Therefore, is it okay? Kalatur. Sariya? So, what is it that is the Devas entering with fear? They are not actually frightened. Fear as in not shivering or anything. Fear as in a fear as in you can use some word. No, it's not fear, sir. It is respect. Some word or the other you can, but then he is using the word bhayam, fear. There is, and then the fact is there is fear. In devotion, in respect, there will be an element of fear because the levels are different. In love, the level is equal. There will not be a fear. In love, that is why they say, that's why they say vada poda, isn't it? They can hit. But you can't go and tell vada poda to the guru, no. Palatur. How much ever loving you are, how much ever affectionate you are, the guru will say, I am your friend. You will not say, correct, and you will not go and put your hand on his shoulders again. No. Will you do that? You maintain that. That gap, there is that fear. Oh no, we should not cross this. 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 Why you should not cross? What understanding tells you should not cross? Either you understand it by yourself or the source that you trust has told you not to do, you do. So, Siddha Sangaha, Maharshi Siddha Sangaha is the one who has understood, the Devas are the one who is making an effort to understand. So, one is a wisdom-based appreciation. Another is respect-based, fear-based appreciation. Tamil, they say, Bhaya Bhakti, they say, isn't it? Bhaya Bhakti or they say. What does it mean? Why can't they simply say Bhakti Irna Poro? Why can't you say why do they have to add this thing Bhayam also? It is very important. It's very, very. This fear is required to keep a person in dharmic path until maturity comes. In the Bhashya, Shankara gives this distinctions. Why this? Why God's fear? Actually speaking, logically speaking, Asuras should fear, isn't it? The very definition of Asura means licentious, fearless, living a licentious life is an Asura. Who is the Deva? Temptations for going back to licentious way of life is there, but fearing going back to that life. Able to understand now? Temptations of going back to that licentious way of life, every now and then the mind is tempting the person to go back to that licentious way of living. Fear comes and stops it. Fear comes and protects it. Therefore, the two type of people, both are going with palms, isn't it? That's how the verse describes, isn't it? Both are worshipping with that palms together, isn't it? Both are worshipping with palms together. How do you know that both are worshipping with palms together? Pranchalaya with joined palms. Joined palms is what we call as the Anjali Mudra. Anjali Mudra means you go, both are going like this. Who are the both? The Surasangaha also enter with Bhitaha. That Maharshi Siddha Sangaha also enter with Pushkalabihi Stutibihi. And Pushkalabihi Stutibihi, as we said in the beginning, is a complete prayer. A prayer that is complete and comprehensive. Comprehensive means all the glories of the Lord is explained. All the glories of the Lord is explained, is comprehensive. Complete means there are two ways of complete. Idella Bhakti tradition lover. Padanti Kesha, Keshanti Pada. Meaning, you start from the feet and go to the crown, or you start from the crown and come to the seat on which the God is standing. Another from they start worshipping the seat, from the seat they start. So head to toe or toe to head is complete. And comprehensive means all the glories. And what are the glories? The compassionate, loving God can turn, if necessitates, destructive also. That is the complete glory. Again, what is the complete glory? The compassionate Lord, the loving, compassionate, affectionate God, Guru, can get very strict and destructive nature also they can exhibit. In the glories, that aspect of them also has to be worshipped. Then it is comprehensive. So this Maharshis and Siddha Sanghas worship both. Sometimes you show compassion to save the other. Sometimes you have to amputate something also to show the other. Either way, both are good for the other is the comprehensive stuti. Is a comprehensive, it is comprehensive. All the glories. When we say all the glories means the capacity to destroy and the capacity to protect. Destroy doesn't mean ultimate destruction. Because ultimate, who will you want to destroy yourself ultimately, they are taking you out of the destruction. And when they take you out of your self-created destruction, sometimes compassion will take you out, sometimes a very destructive face they show. But both Maharshi and Siddha understand it as beneficial. The Maharshi and Siddha understands both as beneficial. The Devas sometimes get confused. What is the confusion? What is the confusion? You scold me, that is okay, sir, but why can't you lovingly scold? Is it possible? Lovingly na scold manu. If you want to scold, you have to. There's a different Sahasranama for scolding, isn't it? Yeah. So when you scold, you have to use only that. Oh, you scold, but why can't you be affectionate and scold? Affectionate are the scolding, isn't it? Scolding will not have an effect. Therefore, what is Pushkala Bihi Stuti Bihi? They see both and they worship both. In the case of a person trying to become mature, one face of the Lord is acceptable, another face of the Lord is not acceptable. That is the difference that you have to understand here. For a person who is trying to become mature, one face of the God is acceptable, another face of God is frightening, not acceptable. For the one who is already mature, both are acceptable. This is verse number 21. Now we'll move on to verse number 22. 22 padinga.
रुद्रादित्या वसवो ये च साध्याः विश्वेश्विनौ मरुतश्चोष्मपाश्च गन्धर्वयक्षासुरसिद्धसङ्गाः वीक्षन्ते त्वां विस्मिताश्चैव सर्वे रुद्रादित्या वसवो ये च साध्याः विश्वेश्विनौ मरुतश्चोष्मपाश्च गन्धर्वयक्षासुरसिद्धसङ्गाः वीक्षन्ते त्वां विस्मिताश्चैव सर्वे.
The Rudras, Adityas, Vasus, Sadhyas, Vishwadevas, Ashwins, Marut, Ushmapas, and hosts of Gandharvas, Yakshas, Asuras, and Siddhas, all these behold you quite astonished. The Rudras, Adityas, Vasus, Sadhyas, Vishwadevas, Ashwin, Marut, Ushmapas, and hosts of Gandharvas, Yakshas, Asuras, and Siddhas, all these behold you quite Vismataha. Vismitaha means quite astonished. The list we have studied already in chapter 10. Most of this list we have studied in chapter 10. So we are not going back into that list again. So because we already covered those, these are all the different categories of, there different categories of beings. The different categories of beings. Rudras, Adityas, Vasus, all these various forms look at God in astonishment. Adityas, 12 sun gods. Rudras, 11 Rudras. Vasus, Ashtavasu, 8. Vishwa, 10. Means directions, 10 directions, isn't it? East, west, north, south, primary, and then secondary, northeast, southwest, and the and then up and down. So there are 10 directions. Ashwini, the divine brothers, twins. Maruts, 49 Maruts. Ushmapas, the head of Pitru Devatas, group of Gandharvas, leaders of musicians, group of Gandharvas, and then they have names also. And then just as each and every Aditya has a name, each and every Rudra has a name, each and every Vasu of 8 Vasu has a name. Ashwini, both the Ashwini Kumaras have their individual names. 49 Maruts has their own different names. Ushmapata itself means head of the Pitrus. Gandharvas, the leaders of musicians, and they also have their own names, isn't it? Yakshas, Kubera, Lord of Wealth, deity, the Lord of Wealth, Kubera, and then Asuras. Asura here refers to Virochana. Virochana is one of the, if you go to chapter 8, Chandogya Upanishad, Virochana is one of the student of the Upanishads. That is Asuras, Virochana. And then Siddhas. Siddhas we saw last thing itself. Kapila and others who are Siddhas. All of them see you and are astonished. Astonished because of what? Look at the list that he is saying and say, all of them are frightened looking at you. Actually, who's frightened looking? He is only, Arjuna only is frightened. Ellarum பயந்துட்டாங்க sir, they say, isn't it? Yeah. Instead of saying, I got scared, you will say, like, okay, you go to what is that horror movie, yeah? Horror movie. Comedy movie, isn't it? Horror movies are the comedies. If you want to have real comedy movie, you should watch horror movie. And the mother comedy kadeve, isn't it? Something floating, some ice popping and going back. Like cartoon mother, isn't it? So comical those horror things are. And the fellow goes and says, "Sir, this horror movie when we went, everybody in the theater everybody in the screen got scared. 50 fellows or 50% were fast asleep. They didn't even know what is happening. Instead of saying, I got scared, he says, everybody is scared. And who is that everybody? Who is that everybody? The noblest and the best are also frightened. If the noblest and best can get frightened, then obviously then obviously I'll also be frightened. No. Look at the list of those who are frightened, he's saying. Adityas, Rudras, Vasus, Vishvas, Sadhyas, Ashwini, Ushmapas, all that. Now, what does it actually mean? For the ones who has not fully matured, mixed emotions will come. The mixed emotion of wonderment and fear. So, the mixed emotion of wonderment and fear is continuing. He's saying they respect you, they are in wonderment, and they also get frightened. Now, who's going through this mixed emotion of wonderment and fear? Arjuna is going through this mixed emotion of wonderment and fear. Arjuna going through this mixed emotion of wonderment and fear, he puts it on to others also, everybody. Quite astonished, seeing the terrible form. Previous verse, what happened? Maharshis and Siddhas entered Swasti, Swasti, Swasti. They didn't get frightened. Here, the Siddhas are also getting frightened. Isn't it? Goshti Segam, isn't it? Yeah. So for his fear, he's adding a big group of people around him. 23 Pongo. Verse number 23.
Rupam mahatte bahuvaktra netram mahabaho bahubahurupādam bahudaram bahudamshtakaralam drishtva lokha pravyatithāstathāham Rupam mahatte bahuvaktra netram Mahabaho bahubahurupādam Bahudaram bahudamshtakaralam Drishtva lokha pravyatithāstathāham
Seeing your mighty form with many mouths and eyes, many arms, thighs and feet, many stomachs, many terrible tusks, O Mahabaho, the worlds are terrified, so am I. Seeing your mighty form with many mouths and eyes, arms, thighs, feet, stomachs, terrible tusks, O Mahabaho, the worlds are terrified, so am I. இப்பதான் ஒரு பாயிண்ட்டுக்கே வர்றாரு, isn't it? Now only is coming to what he said. I am terrified. But don't think I am the only one who's terrified. Everybody is terrified. Mighty form. The vastness is shown. What is the vastness shown? We saw this already in one of the previous verses. With many mouths and eyes and arms and thighs. Don't think that in one form there are hands sticking out. In one form there are so many stomachs. In one form there are so many thighs. Don't see it like that. He is describing something which is so huge and vast. And how he will describe? You describe according to what you know. What you know multiplied by numbers is what description always is. Correct? You know something and then multiply it. Like one sun is so bright. One sun itself is so bright, with your eyes you can't see. So if you want to describe something which is so bright, what will you say? You will not say like 1/4 of the sun. You will not say. You will say like thousand suns. Isn't it? So similarly, it is, so you have to understand it as a poetic description, not an actual form that he is seeing with many mouths, many eyes, many arms, many thighs. But if you actually believe that there is one form where he's seeing this arms and thighs and etc. and many things, actually, how can you see anything like that? How can anything exist like that? And if anything is existing like that, you will start laughing, isn't it? You will not get, you will only feel like big, because it will look like one cartoon show, isn't it? The supreme nature of the Lord is described here. That's all. You have to understand it like that. What is the supreme nature? Greatness evokes inspiration and respect. Greatness evokes inspiration, devotion, respect, fear. All this gets mixed up. Reverence. When somebody is honest, principled, and disciplined, everybody is attracted, everybody shows reverence, and there will be a fear also for such a great soul, isn't it? Even relatively speaking, isn't it? Supposing if you have a very unselfish, disciplined person in your family, when he walks in, what will happen? Even if you are sitting with your stretched legs out on the sofa, when he walks in, what will happen? What will happen? The legs will come down and you will stand up, isn't it? He is not a Hitler. He is not a dictator, isn't it? But there is that way of, there are these emotions that displays. That's what he is saying in relation to Vishwarupa. Understand it like that. A reverence, a wonderment, a fear also. Very loving and affectionate nu vaadanu solla mattom, isn't it? Very respectful, very affectionate, reverence, and also you will not say, how will you address? There is a respect, a reverence. All these people, the worlds are terrified, so am I. What is that he means by the pravyatitaha? Pravyatitaha is the fear. So am I. Aham ta. So also. Nanu kuda பயந்துட்டேன் சார். Now what is he saying? இதை தமிழ்ல சொல்லணும்னா எப்படி சொல்லணும்? எல்லாரும் பயந்து நடுங்கிருந்தாங்களா, நானும் கொஞ்சம் பயந்துட்டேன். Actually, who's going through all this? He is the only one who's going through it. But then, aham tata, me also. Everybody got frightened. எல்லாரும் பயந்தாங்களா, நானும் கொஞ்சம் பயந்துட்டேன். Isn't it? The truth is what? Nobody got frightened except him. Because except him, nobody is seeing the Vishwarupa only. No, இவர் ஒருத்தர் தானே பார்க்கிறாரு. So since he is the only one he is the one who is frightened. The glory of Vishwarupa is described as in wonderment. The glory of Vishwarupa is described as in wonderment and fear combined. So glory of Vishwarupa previously only wonderment. Now wonderment and fear combined. So what is he saying now? So am I. So am I means I also got scared. looks like one alien description, no? Isn't it? Aliens movie description, isn't it? Many mouths, many thighs, many this. Bahodamshtra Karalam. See, Bahodamshtra Karalam means that protruding teeth is what is called as tusk here. That protruding teeth, the teeth which is ready to, the teeth, like, அது என்னது மூவிலலாம் வருமே, what is that? The teeth comes out and they drink the blood, the other also will become not ghost. Vampire. Vampire. Have you seen the vampire teeth? That's what it means. Bahudramshtra Karalam means like vampires, it can just protruding teeth. It can, and when you get caught in the teeth, you don't want to get caught in the teeth. Huh? You don't want to get caught in the teeth. You get caught in the teeth, you will be tear open. Mixi madri adu, isn't it? Yeah. Imagine in a very, you are just taken alive and put in a and put in a mixie and rotated. What will happen to you? By mother, isn't it? Arjuna is seeing all this. Bahudramshtra Karalam. Oh God, some of the descriptions that he gives. See, because we don't know the Sanskrit language and the poetry, we don't understand what he is saying. So I'm just trying to elaborate what is meant by Bahudamshtra Karalam. Abnormal features causing fear. Abnormal features, isn't it? When there are certain abnormal features, those abnormal features will cause some kind of fear. Now here he's having some abnormal features. What is that abnormal features? Abaho, many hands, many thighs, many feet. Bahu, Uru, Bahu, Pada, Bahu, Udara. Bahu means huge, big, many. What are the many? Uru, Pada, Udara, hands. All these hands, thighs, feet, stomach. Face mattum uttar, isn't it? Hands, thighs, feet, stomach. Mahabaho. Fear because I am not able to categorize which species you belong to. Unable to categorize. For you to categorize, specific features are required. If there's an entity that is coming up with all in one, how will you categorize that? Where will you place that entity? Drishtva tataham. Drishtva tataham. Seeing that all were trembling, so am I. Trembling, shivering, shaking. Why? Because you don't know you don't know how to place it. Why you do not know how to place it? Categorization, you are not able to categorize it. Because you are not able to categorize it and put it in compartments, put it in pockets. If you categorize and put it in pockets, then only you can understand something. This Vishwarupa is not able to understand. Why? Because he is not able to categorize it. He is not able to put it into a compartment, put it into a box and say, this is this. Cobra, na, this is this. Snake, cat family. We have categories, isn't it? Cat is also a cat. Lion is also a cat, huh? Isn't it? Lion is also a cat. Tiger is also a cat. Cheetah is also a cat. Jaguar is also a cat. And cat is also a cat, isn't it? Categorization. What is a categorization? Cat family, isn't it? Cat family. Fishes with fins. Fishes with... It is so... For you to understand something, you have to categorize. If something goes beyond categorization, you will not know what to do with it. That is Vishwarupa. That is this Vishwarupa. So he's saying, I am not able to put it in any category. Manshala seka mudilla, Asurala seka mudilla, Devasla seka mudilla, because everything is there, and what all I can't see, what all I can't imagine, conceive is also there. That is Vishwarupa. That is Mahat, is immeasurable, inconceivable, infinite. So the immeasurable, inconceivable, infinite description of Vishwarupa continues. This is verse number 23. With this, we conclude for today, and we continue with 24 onwards.